Do you want to know how to make this awesome and easy to build kelp farm that involves absolutely no redstone dust at all? Well, stay tuned, because in this video I am going to show you exactly how to build this kelp farm. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is MightyHighs, and in this video I am going to show you how to build an awesome kelp farm. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So if you like these kind of videos, Minecraft Let's Plays and tutorials, then be sure to subscribe because I publish videos on a regular basis. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so all the resources you will need are in this chest. So we have some smokers to actually smelt the kelp, we have a chest to store the items, kelp to actually grow, then we have some pistons, observers, some hoppers and some building blocks, mainly glass and concrete I'm going to use for this build, but you can use whatever block you like. So as I say, this doesn't involve any redstone dust whatsoever, so you can in fact build it right in the ocean if you want, and you have no problems because the redstone won't get destroyed. So without further ado, let's actually start building this thing. So let's grab our stuff from the chest. So to start off with, we want to actually plan out where our build's going to go. So I'm going to place it here. So where you want your build to go, you go 16 blocks in a row like so. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, so I just had to make it day again. So we've got 16 blocks along here, which is the start of our farm. So now what you want to do is just roughly count out 2 blocks from the outside, and then this row here of 16 blocks is going to be where the middle is. So I'm just going to place a row of glass around here just so we know where the middle is for now. So now we've got our starting blocks done, we want to place pistons facing this way all along the blocks we've just placed. So 16 pistons along here like so, and you want them facing that way as well. So if we get rid of that, we can put a piston there as well. You can actually extend this wall or line as long as you like, to be fair, but I think 16's a good row, a good number even. So now we've got our pistons and our blocks sorted out, we're going to do the same on the other side. So we're going to have a 2 block gap, then we have 16 blocks, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then we place our pistons on the top like so. Alright, so now we have our pistons in place. What we really want to do now is put a junk block on one of this rows of pistons like so, and then we want an observer facing that way, so the head is actually where the piston head is, if that makes sense. And just make sure the head is facing that way basically, or the opposite way to you. And then we want to place our observers all along where on top, a block on top of where the pistons are like this. So yeah, so let's do this. Alright, so now we've got one row of observers in, we can do the same on the other side. So junk block there, then we get our observers facing that way, and we just keep placing. And it's so much easier to be building this in the water as well, just to let you guys know, but I'm going to be building it out here just in case you guys actually want to build it on land. So now we have our observers on both sides. What we want to do now is come over to the bottom, and we want to place an observer facing down so it's hitting that piston, and we do this all along this side of observers, shall I say. So then we get rid of that block and do that, and then we do the same on the other side. So these observers are the easier ones to place because you've already got blocks guiding you. So that is what we want. So basically every time this top observer gets a block update, it will give an update to this observer and power the piston. So if I just put a random block there, you can see that piston extends, and that's exactly what we want. So yeah guys, this is pretty much the setup for the farm. So now what we want to do is we just want to make a floor for this farm. So I'm just going to make it out of concrete. So let's just get rid of some of this dirt and place a load of concrete down on the floor. So I'll do this and show you guys what I've done after. Alright, so we've got our floor in now, and just a quick note, you want the floor to be 1 block away from this piston row here, just so you can put the kelp here when water is in here. So now what we want to do is basically just wall this off like so. So you want to wall all these observers off as well, so about 5 blocks up, or is it 4 blocks up even from the ground. If you wanted to, you could technically call that the 5th block if you wanted to build on that row. So then we do the same on the other side. So just quickly wall this off like so. So now after you've got these 2 side walls in, you should have something that looks like this. So the reason why I've got this glass in here at the moment is to guide the middle basically. So now what we're going to do is we're going to continue this glass going up all the way along so it reaches flush to this wall here. So if we just place our glass, you can use any block, it doesn't have to be glass. If you're running low on resources, you can easily just use stone, to be fair with you. So you should have something that looks something like this. So the next thing we want to do is continue this pattern with the observers and the pistons along going upwards. So how we do this is we go a block out from this observer here. So then what we want to do is we want to run this line of blocks all the way along to the end. Then we place a piston on top of these blocks like so, and then we just repeat how we've done the pistons and the observers. So our pistons go there, then what we want to do is go up a block and place our observers. If this is tricky to place the observers like that, you could always, like even I'm struggling sometimes, you could always just place a junk block on top of these pistons and then place the observers like that if that's easier for you, and then just get rid of these blocks. So you could do it that way if you want. So we've got our top observers in now, so now we want to put our bottom observers in. So we just put them in facing down like that, and then we do the same on the other side. So let's do that and I'll come back to you. Alright, so we've got our second row of observers and pistons in now. So what we want to do again is just wall this off like so. Just remember you're going 1 block out from the last wall you've done on the side. So just up to about there to the top of the observer, and the same on the other side. Alright, so now we've got our side walls done, we can extend this glass a bit as well. So we basically want this to go up as far as this wall here, so let's do that as well. So the next question you want to ask yourself is, how tall do you want this to be? So I am going to do this another 2 times, but you could build up to build height if you really wanted to. It's entirely up to you, but I'm going to do this kind of structure another 2 times. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, something that tall roughly. So let's add the pistons and observers to both sides and I'll get back to you guys. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so I've built this up another 2 more layers, so technically we've got 4 layers of these pistons and observers kind of contraption things. I don't really know what to call it. So yeah, so you can go higher than this if you wanted to, so your next row would be there basically, and then pistons and observers like that. You can go up to build height if you want, it really depends on how much kelp you need. but this will suit a single player world or a single player for quite a while, because this does produce quite a lot of kelp. Another thing that I've done is this glass in the middle, I've left one block off on the top, and that is for a collection system, but I'll go into that later on. So then once you've got this far, the next thing you want to do is fill the whole thing with water. So if you're building this in an ocean, you won't need to do this step unless you've got air blocks everywhere. So because I'm doing this on the land, it's going to have to be filled with water. So an easy way to do this is, on one side, if we put water sources on this side, and then we then go along one other side and put water sources along there, they will fill up with complete water sources. So let's do that again. So we put water sources along this side here, and then the same on the other side where the pistons are, or where the glass is, it doesn't really matter what side, and then it becomes 4 water source blocks. So we want to do this all the way up until we reach this point here on both sides, so the whole thing needs to be covered in water. So I'll just show you this quickly again. So we just basically chuck loads of water on here, and when it comes to the bigger areas, it's probably a lot easier. So as you see, we just chuck water on this side and that will happen, but it doesn't really matter. And then we put water on this side like this, and then the whole thing fills up with water sources. So let's fill the whole thing with water, and then I'll come back to you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so now after you've filled the whole thing in with water, it should look something like this, where the water is literally up to the brim. So now the next thing you want to do is we can actually add some hoppers in here. So if we add our hoppers in right in the middle on top of the glass, you can have them pointing facing that way or that way, it doesn't really matter, wherever you want your collection system to be. So I'm just going to have them facing this way. So let's just place our hoppers all along here. It can be a bit annoying to place hoppers in water. So now we've got this done, the next thing to do is to actually have our collection system. So the way we do that is we get some half slabs out, believe it or not. So I'm just going to use wooden half slabs because it doesn't really matter what we use. And what we're going to do is we're going to half slab the whole of the top from the top block here. So we want to place half slabs all along the top of this water like so on both sides. So I'll do this. So we want slabs all along here basically, and on the other side. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so now we've got our half slabs in all along on the top where the water was, and this may look a bit dumb, but I assure you there is a good reason for it. So the next thing we want to do is basically just make a border around this. So I'm just going to have a 1 block border around here like so on this side, and then we want to come one away from this observer here, so 1 block out, and then place our blocks around these observers like so, and then we basically just continue this along all the way around until we hit that end. So let's do this. Alright, so now we've got our border in, it should look something similar to this. So the next thing we want to do, we're pretty much almost there now. All we want to do is put water sources all along this side here. And then what should happen is this water will fall just over the side of the hoppers. But if we put another water source along this side where underneath our observers like so, then all this will do is force the water into the middle where their hoppers are. So any item that ends up onto these water streams will actually end up in these hoppers either side. So they might flick around left and right for a minute, but they will eventually end up into these hoppers. So if we check this hopper here, or is it the other one? It's the other one. So if we check this hopper here, we have our items in there. So now what we want to do is get rid of all these half slabs now, because they were unfortunately only temporary. but it was all in order to fit these water streams so they end up into the hoppers. That's the reason why we put these half slabs here in the first place, because if we put a full block there, then it would get rid of the water source on the bottom where these observers are, and it wouldn't have the same effect. But now we can waterlog half slabs. We can have this kind of water stream going on. So let's get rid of all these half slabs and I'll come back to you. Alright, so now we've got rid of all our half slabs, we can see that the water is still flowing into these hoppers, which is the reason why we put the half slabs down in the first place. So let's demonstrate this with the half slabs gone. So if we chuck anything into the water, it will actually float up and then get pushed along into these hoppers. So you see these half slabs down there, they will eventually float up to the top and then end up in these hoppers. So let's just wait for that to happen. It can be slow sometimes. So you see this half slab, and there you saw it go right into the hopper. So this is actually working. So now we can actually place our kelp. So all we want to do is place our kelp on the bottom here, like so, and that's a weird light glitch. So you might want to light this up as well, but because you technically might have drowned in here, but it doesn't matter too much. Well, that is a really random light glitch, but anyway, so what we do is we place kelp on the floor like so, just under that block on the piston, and then going up from the bottom we actually place kelp on these observers, because you can place kelp on pretty much any block, including redstone blocks. So that's where we place our kelp, pretty much on the top of these observers. So what you want to do is you want to just place the kelp on this side and on that side. So let's do that and I'll show you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so now we've got all our kelp in. I'll just show you, just in case you didn't get where to put it. It's basically on these observers in a row, and then on the bottom this row here, because there isn't any observers, and you do that on both sides, so it should look something similar to this. Unfortunately you can't really do anything with the kelp that's on there, so it's not really worth putting kelp on there, but if you wanted to you can do. But anyway, so yeah, that is pretty much the farm done. So now it's just the collection system really. So yeah, as you can see we've got 3 kelp in there already. So the idea is when the kelp reaches this observer here, it will trigger the piston, getting rid of all the kelp, and then the kelp will float up into these hoppers. As you see, this kelp here is floating up and it should reach the hopper like that. You will get the odd item that sticks in between the hopper and the glass, and unfortunately that is just how hoppers work because they've changed the hitbox of them, but that very rarely happens, so I don't think you're going to lose too much from that, to be fair with you. So yeah, let's get on to the collection system. So we have our hopper here, and I think I've put it over here, didn't I? Yep. Nope. Wrong one. There we go. So our hopper is there, so what we want to do is let's just have a few more hoppers coming out facing that way. We can get rid of that block quickly, place some hoppers facing that way, and then we can block that off again. And then what we can do is we can add a chest into that hopper, if I can actually place it. So all the kelp is going into that chest there. Then if we place a junk block there and there, we can have a hopper facing downwards, so then the kelp will enter into that hopper there. Then if we get ourselves a smoker, we can put our smoker underneath the hopper, so all the kelp goes into that smoker. Then what we can do is, if I just add another couple of blocks there, we can add a chest there and a hopper there. So if we put fuel in this smoker, let's put some dried kelp in there, then this will smelt and then go into this hopper here. So you guys might be wondering why I'm not actually doing a massive super smelter for this farm, and the reason is basically this farm doesn't produce enough kelp in order to warrant that kind of super smelter. So as long as you've got a smoker here, that is more than sufficient enough to smelt whatever's coming into this farm, because a kelp block smelts 20 items, and yeah, this might fill up, but it will eventually end up filling this chest soon. And if you wanted more than one smoker, then all you need to do is, if we place a smoker there and a smoker there, going a block away from this piston or a couple of blocks away from this hopper even, then what we can do is we can add a hopper on top of that hopper on top of these smokers, if I can actually place them like so, and then we just basically have our one hopper facing into the end smoker there, and then we just continue this hopper line right to the end of that hopper. So anything that goes into these hoppers, it will hit this hopper and go down first into this smoker. Then if this smoker is full and this hopper is full, then it will go into this smoker, and then if this hopper's full, then it will go into this smoker. But I think, to be fair, you really only need a couple of smokers for this kind of farm. But having saying that, you can build this up to build height, and it really does depend on how much kelp you have. But in all fairness, if you have a lot of kelp, say like a double chest full, it's probably worth just making a super smelter yourself and doing it that way, or just use your super smelter that you use anyway, like I do. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, our awesome and easy to build kelp farm that involves absolutely no redstone dust at all. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. If you like this video, then please click the like button, and if you really liked it, then click the subscribe button and ding that bell for further uploads. I've been MightyHighs, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye!